Doctors and nurses, what have been your "why didn't you come in sooner" moments? I've been working pediatrics for about 15 years now. Nothing prepared me for what happened with Ben. His mom Alexis brought him in on a Tuesday afternoon. Real quiet lady, maybe mid-20s, looked exhausted like most single moms do. She sat down across from my desk and said the weirdest thing I'd ever heard from a parent. "Doctor, my son hasn't cried in 4 months. Not once." At first I thought she was bragging. Some parents come in acting like their tough kid is some kind of superhero, but Alexis looked worried, not proud. She explained how Ben used to cry normal kid stuff, scraped knees, getting his feelings hurt, bedtime fights. Then one day it just stopped. Complete silence even when he got hurt. "He fell off his bike last week and scraped up his whole arm," she said. "Didn't make a sound, just got up and walked inside like nothing happened. I thought maybe he was being brave, but his face looked like he wanted to cry, like he was trying to, but couldn't." That's when my doctor brain kicked in. I brought Ben into the exam room. Sweet kid with blonde hair and these big brown eyes that looked way too serious for a 7-year-old. I started with basic questions, making jokes, trying to get him comfortable. But when I looked closely at his eyes, something was off. They looked dry, not just sleepy dry, but like desert dry. No natural moisture at all. I pulled out my little flashlight and took a closer look. His tear ducts looked scarred over, not from any accident I'd seen before. This looked chemical. "Ben," I said real gentle, "when's the last time you remember crying?" He thought about it, scrunching up his face. "Before Daddy started his visits." That made Alexis sit up straight. Her ex-husband Danny had just gotten supervised visitation rights after getting out of county jail for drug stuff. Been seeing Ben every other weekend for about 4 months. Exactly when the crying stopped. I kept asking questions, trying not to sound scary. Ben told me about his weekends with Dad, how they'd go to the park, get McDonald's, watch movies, normal stuff. But then he said something that made my stomach drop. "Daddy says crying is for babies and girls. Real men don't cry. When I got sad about leaving Mommy, he put special drops in my eyes to help me be strong." Special drops. I felt my chest get tight. "What kind of drops, buddy?" "Clear ones from a little bottle. They burned really bad at first, but Daddy said that meant they were working, making me tougher." I looked at Alexis. Her face had gone completely white. I excused myself and stepped outside to call my nurse. Asked her to get social services on the line immediately and prep for some tests. When I came back, I sat down and explained to both of them what I suspected. Someone had been putting chemicals in Ben's eyes, probably rubbing alcohol or something similar. It had scarred his tear ducts so badly they couldn't produce tears anymore. Alexis started shaking. "That's why he always came home quiet, why he'd sit in his room for hours after visits. I thought he was just tired." The worst part was still coming. I ran some tests and found that the scarring was getting worse. The chemicals had been eating away at the tissue around his eyes. If this had gone on much longer, Ben could have started losing his vision permanently. Within 2 hours, I had CPS at the hospital. Police showed up an hour after that. They went straight to Danny's apartment and found a medicine cabinet full of rubbing alcohol, eye drops containers, and a notebook where he'd been writing down his parenting methods. Stuff about making boys tough and getting rid of weakness. The cop who arrested him told me later that Danny actually bragged about his system. Said he was fixing his son before society could make him soft. Complete psychopath. Alexis broke down in the hallway when she realized what had been happening right under her nose. Kept saying she should have known, should have asked more questions. But how could she have known? The guy was manipulating a 7-year-old into staying quiet about torture. Ben's in therapy now, both for his eyes and his head. The doctors think they can help his tear ducts heal with surgery, but it's gonna take time. The psychological stuff is harder to fix. Kid doesn't trust easily anymore. Danny got 5 years for child abuse. His visitation rights got terminated permanently. Ben testified in court through a video call, told the judge exactly what happened. Kid was braver than most adults I know.